After Nicholas Palmer's tenure with the Dubuque Symphony Orchestra, a search committee was formed to find the next music director and conductor. 5 finalists competed for the position, and in the end, the committee, the audience, and the musicians selected William Intriligator as their new maestro.
It was in Minneapolis when I was doing my graduate work that I first heard about the Dubuque Symphony Orchestra. One of the violists in the Metropolitan Symphony Orchestra was a friend of mine named Richard Zeitlin. Richard had worked for the Dubuque Symphony Orchestra as a member of the staff and had played viola in the orchestra as well. And when he had heard through his friends in Dubuque that the position that Nicholas Palmer had was coming open, he mentioned it to me right away. He said, "You know, I think you would really like Dubuque and they would like you, and you should apply for this." When I came in, the orchestra was in very good shape because my predecessor had done an incredible job bringing the orchestra to higher and higher levels, adding more concerts, and just doing more for education and being part of the community. It was in my second season, we added a fully staged opera, which I think the orchestra has had a long tradition of performing concert opera, dating back to even the earlier days with Parvis Mahmoud. We were going to do La Boheme in a concert version, and I think it was then the then president of the board, Susan Butler, who said, "Wouldn't it be nice if we could just have costumes and maybe just a little staging?" And I said, "It would be nice." And I started thinking, well, let's see what we can do. And it turned out to be wonderful, and the audience's reaction was great. We've now done 3 staged operas. La Boheme was our first, then we did Carmen 2 years later, and then 3 years later we did Rigoletto.
I joined the symphony about 9 years ago on the board. Knew nothing about music, and got involved because someone asked me if I would lend my expertise in accounting to the organization. I did, and over the years I've learned probably more about the symphony than I have given to the symphony. We are going through a celebration for 50 years. That's quite an achievement, and it's very exciting. We're bucking the trends of, I think, of national orchestras. Our participation, our programs are growing, our ticket sales are growing, but we are facing our challenges, like most organizations. One of those challenges happen to be finances. With the budget we have our concerts that we put on. Each of those concerts could not be maintained by only ticket sales. It would be too costly. So sponsorships are vital. If you're a potential sponsor, we welcome you to come and participate. We're open to suggestions on how you can work with us in our organization to lend us financial support. And we like to support the recognition of those sponsors as well. We think it's important, and we think our patrons do that very well.
We got really close to getting one of my big wishes come true this year. We held an endowment campaign drive. At the time we started the campaign, our endowed assets were about half the amount of our annual operating budget, and an orchestra really needs to have 3 to 5 times its annual operating budget in endowed assets. So we made a big step forward, and we're raising $2.75 million, and that will really help us down the road in the long term.
We stepped into the shoes, though, and have been living off and enjoying the sacrifices and the investments that those in front of us have done. And now I think it's time for us to do the same thing. So I would encourage you to participate in the annual fund drive and also to participate in our capital campaign to ensure the financial stability of the organization going forward.
There is something very special about the Dubuque Symphony Orchestra, and it's a reflection of the community. When I go to guest conduct other orchestras, and when I speak to my colleagues who are conductors in other communities, they often admire the level of support that we have in the community of our size, and what we're able to do a staged opera, and to have a youth symphony program. These are things that are rare for orchestras of our size, in communities our size. And just the amount of effort that is put in to make the orchestra succeed by so many different people, board members, league members, the orchestra musicians, the staff, volunteers of very many varieties, and an incredible amount of people who generously support the orchestra either through donations or maybe some sort of donation of a skill or a product for a silent auction, even things like that. The level of support is remarkable. Certainly the music director is the figurehead for the orchestra, but relies on all these other people to make it successful. And it's been a wonderful partnership and team effort here. So that's one of the things that makes Dubuque special, I think.